Hey guys, I'm here to talk to you about 5 things that you can gift to a musician that likes to play on things like ukulele, guitar, bass, mandolin, banjo, dulcimer. This stuff kind of applies a lot to strings, which brings me to my first point. Strings, you can't go wrong with a packet of strings, right? Now you're probably thinking, I don't know what they would want, and it makes you feel a little bit like, I don't want to buy them something that they can't use. But strings, they can always use strings, seriously. So these are actually mandolin strings, and I say that with surprise because I'm used to this brand for acoustic guitar strings, and I love them. I cannot recommend them enough, and I'm really getting on with this on mandolin as well. This is a great brand, Earthwoods. Awesome. Can't go wrong. I would say for guitar, I always recommend light or extra light. And with that, I'm talking about the gauge, which will be the numbers on it. On the back of these packs, very handily, they show you the numbers, which give you an idea of how thick the strings are. So the higher the numbers, the thicker the strings are going to be. So if it's somebody that likes to play in a really soft style, then you don't want really thick strings, okay? You want nice light ones, right? Which is why I'm recommending light. I just like light. If you know that this person you're buying it for likes to thrash the instrument massively, maybe go for light or medium. Don't go for extra light because they might snap a string. But in that case, that's why you're buying them a packet of spares, yeah? Okay, so strings, right? Number 1 was strings. Number 2 then, let's come on over. Let's have a look at capos. Capos change the key and are really handy, and they're also very easy to lose. And they're weirdly very different from one another. So this is probably, let's have a look. These are all 3 capos. Do you know what? I think that isn't the cheapest one. I think that was the cheapest one, but this is no good. And I will tell you why, because it takes an awful lot of effort to squeeze it. This is more like a hand exercise, and I do not enjoy it. It's also very, very sharp all around the edges. As a general rule of thumb, whenever you see this design, I would just get, no, don't buy. Don't buy. I don't recommend it. It's not great. This has also damaged one of my instruments because it scratched it. It's too sharp. Don't like it. This one is old school. It's one of the oldest ones I have. I don't really use it very much anymore because it's too short. So I play a lot on my classical, and I don't always play in a classical style. But this one is quite hard to get right the way across the neck. So I often end up with a buzz, or I end up missing the E string, and I have to really wiggle it and try and position it on. That's a bit better, but it's a bit of an effort, yeah? And you'll see, come to my old trusty reliable, there we go, and we're good to go immediately. This one is awesome. And I can use it on my ukulele too if I want to. I think you can now get nice little specific ones for ukulele, which gotta be nicer, right? Because they're not all hanging off the end. It must look neater. But they're lovely, and like I said, we have a tendency of leaving these things at open mics and stuff like that, so capos are a great present, and I fully recommend this kind of shape. Try not to cheap out, so don't spend something like a £5, although I know this was about a £5, but that was about 12 years ago. So these days, these are around about £7, £8, something like that. That kind of region will serve you well. Basically, if you go for cheap, you're going to get a cheap capo that will break, or kill your hand and your instruments, and you don't want that. So we have capos. All right, let's talk about picks. Now, I've been given wooden picks in the past. I've also been given metal picks. Didn't get on with either particularly well because they're too thick and they don't give at all. So they might be really, really loud and kind of traditional, but they're not for me. So let's have another look. Oh, I've also been given these as well in the past. These are massive. I think these are for bassists, but I have never seen a bassist play with one of these, so I don't recommend those either. So what should you buy then? I'll tell you what you should buy. As a general all-rounder, something that I've noticed pretty much every guitarist that I know, I think, use this unless they use their hand, is something around a 0.50mm pick. Now you can see I've used this one so much I've worn it down to the nub. There is not very much of this pick left, and I need to go and get some more. I love it to death. It's great. It's a Dunlop. You normally see them in a nice grey colour. This one is slightly heavier, I think. So yeah, 0.60mm. Also comes with a pick grip. So if you know that someone keeps dropping their pick constantly, that little pick grip is going to make quite a difference. But the 0.50 is the one that I recommend because it's just soft and easy, and a great one, like an emergency. Say you're at a gig or an open mic or whatever, and you're like, I've left my pick at home, and then you've given them the spare. Oh, don't worry, I've got my spare pick. Oh, it's good. So even if it's not perfect for what they normally use, it's still something. And if you get something too flippy, then it's not going to work for them. If you get something too hard, then it's not going to work. But yeah, as a general rule of thumb, the string will likely get more caught on a heavier pick, and it's just harder to pick solos and things like that on it. Okay, let's have a look at mandolin picks. Or just one mandolin pick, because I completely recommend this. I love this pick. This pick is wonderful. If somebody is just getting into the mandolin and they're having a go of it, I would say don't buy them this guitar pick. Don't do it. Try a Clayton USA .38mm, because it goes back and forth beautifully and gives you wonderful tremolo and gives you that sound. So you can do 9 to 5 as a rendition. Stumble out of bed and stumble to the kitchen, pour myself a cup of ambition, yawn and stretch and try to come alive. Anyway, you get the idea. This is a great pick, seriously. I can't recommend it enough. I thought I was alright at tremolo before this pick, and now that I have this pick, I'm like, this has opened new doors. It's a great pick. And it's tiny. Look at the size of this one. Let's compare it to that Dunlop. It's quite a difference in size, and something about that just makes it easier to move and manipulate. It's great. Okay, banjo picks. So here is the industry standard, or the one that we're all used to when we start out. Let's get these on. They're a bit cumbersome, but it's okay. There we go. So these are the ones that you're used to seeing on people. That was my banjo impression. And they're very clunky, and I personally have struggled with these for years. I just don't get on with them. I'm a finger picker ultimately, and I need to feel the skin. So if somebody is just starting out on banjo, or maybe they've been playing it for a long time and they've been really struggling with those picks, consider trying some of these. They're coming, don't worry. Where your finger is actually poking through and you can feel the string. It is a heck of a difference. It's bizarre. I feel like I've stumbled on the holy grail by finding these picks. They're amazing. I got these from Tone Deaf Music through Amazon, I must admit. Normally I buy through a store, but I couldn't find these. And they were about $4.95. So really, really affordable. These are great and lovely. And you can feel through them, and you can use them on guitar as well. I've been trying them out of a 12 string. That's really made that quite a bit nicer on my hand. So there you go. You got options. Okay. That's the picks. All right, let's move on to tuners. We don't need to take too long on tuners. A tuner is a tuner, but a clip-on tuner is even better. Snarks are fantastic. I really like Snarks. They're probably slightly overpriced, but they're good. They're all right. This is a Moogig, and slightly old, a bit dangly. Shouldn't be that dangly, but never mind. But I mean, it's kind of like a case in point. These are both really old tuners. This one's wiggly. This one is not. They both work fine. This one, for some reason, got a bash on it. I'm not sure why, so the screen's a bit gone, but it still works. It's fine. So they will last you. These have lasted me years. I think we're on our 7th year with these guys. This is great because it's got modes on it. So if they play a lot of things like ukulele, banjo, bass, then you've got all of those settings on there. Violin as well, which is mandolin. So if they're a multi-instrumentalist, get them one with mode. If they're mostly a guitarist, get them a Snark. Or if your budget allows, get both, because they're great. And the best thing about a Snark, I'll be very quick about this, but say they're a guitarist, they play a lot with the capo, and sometimes they're playing it and they're like, that sounds terrible, why does that sound bad? And they need to retune that E. They don't have to take the capo off, they can leave the tuner on, and the tuner will tell them what the note is, because it recognizes chromatically what the notes are. So it's just a great little handy tool. Whereas with the other tuner, you would have to take the capo off, do it that way, and then put the capo on and hope that it was still in tune. But capos are known for sending things out of tune. That's kind of their gig in life. That's what they do. That's kind of the point. They change the key of things. So it's okay if that happens, but that's the best tool for the job, in which case, if you've got to tune it up. All right, which brings me very quickly and neatly onto batteries. You can't go wrong buying a musician batteries. They are in everything, these ones. And these are the CR2032. Oop. There we go. Just to prove a point, there's the Snark, there's the Moogig. There they are, shiny and beautiful. I think they're around about a $5, something like that. but an incredibly useful present. You can't go wrong with that. Everybody is going to run out of batteries because we're all quite silly and we leave our buttons pressed on. So we go through batteries like there's no tomorrow. Which also brings me to a 9-volt battery, which is incredibly useful, not only for loop pedals and amps, I think. Some amps run on them too, but also some guitars run on them as well. Like my input on this, if I were to plug it into an amp, it also runs on a 9-volt battery, so can't go wrong with a nice 9-volt. Okay, so my final casing point then, Your Honour, is books. Let's talk about books then. So your standard book will probably look like this, and it will entice you in because you'll be like, ooh, they love Lord of the Rings, that looks great. And then you open it up and you suddenly realize, it's for piano. Or maybe they open it up, like maybe you didn't open it up at all and they suddenly can't play it. Or they'll just look at it and probably go, ah, even though the chords are along the top if they look harder, but these are very unfriendly chords on guitar. We don't want to play C flat. Well, not today anyway. Well, I think there are all kinds of like interesting ones in this. Yeah. A flat minor / E flat. That kind of thing confuses people all the time. So a nicer thing to get people is a nice bigger book. Now I know that that's obviously smaller than that one, but it's bigger than this one. And this is starting to become the industry gifting standard. And as you can see, I've used this book. It's a good reference point for me. But that's because I don't need glasses to read. For everybody else that I've taught, they have really struggled with these books because they're like, to look at it. Because that's small, man. That's really, really small. So they're like, okay, right. But the good thing about these books is that it is just chords. I love that it's just chords. And that's what's great about this book. And this is even better because it's just limited it to 3 chords. So you open it up, 3 chords, and they can read this because this is big enough. So this is a better book to get. And if you can't find a book like that, don't risk it. Get something else off the list instead because they'll still need all of that stuff anyway. And a nice big one like this that's just chords is good because you can use that on any instrument as well. I know it says guitar on the bottom, but there is no reason why you couldn't play any of these chords on a ukulele, because especially with this book, because it's G, D7 and C. Nice and easy. So there you go. That's my quick whistle-stop tour of 5 things that you can buy musicians that they will love you for. And like I said, they'll always need them. And I'm sure people will put even more ideas in the comments. So hopefully this will serve many musicians for years to come, and musicians, partners, friends, loved ones. So thank you for watching, and I really hope this helps you decide what you're going to get for that special someone, that special musical blossom in your life. So thank you for watching. See you all again soon. Bye.